Debate is going to be about the American Jobs Act and the economy in general. And up first, representing the Democrats, will be Josh Lipsky. And second for the Republicans will be James Holshin.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Great. I see there's like 3 beers on everyone's table. That doesn't count to my time. Okay. Starting now. So, this is the American Jobs Act, and I will talk about it in a minute. First, I want to talk about the context that brings us to talk about the American Jobs Act tonight. So the first is, when President Obama was sworn in on January 20th, 2009, the American economy lost 800,000 jobs that month. January 2009, minus 800,000. February 2009, minus 800,000. So 1.6 million jobs lost 5 weeks in on the job. I would argue, and later in questions you can disagree with me, that few presidents have been dealt a worse hand when they came into office than President Obama on January 20th, 2009. The economy was in free fall. You had economists left, right, and center saying we were headed towards a global depression. So what did the president do? He acted. He passed the Recovery Act. 117 House Republicans voted against it, but he passed the Recovery Act. And what did the Recovery Act do? It saved us from a Great Depression. It got us out of a recession. It cut taxes for 95% of Americans and invested in this country. It was a good bill, and it was a necessary bill. Now, the problem is that the economy has not revved up. The economic engine has not roared. And that's where the American Jobs Act comes in. And it makes sense that the economy is still struggling, because we learn from economic history that financial crisis, financial messes are the toughest to get out of. So that brings us to this, the American Jobs Act. And you've heard a lot of names for it. You're going to hear a lot of nicknames for it tonight, son of stimulus and other creative things that have been come up with. So let's just talk about what is in this thing. What does this bill mean? The American Jobs Act is a few things. The first is that it put cops and firefighters back on the street. The second is that it continues the tax cuts for 95% of Americans that the Recovery Act was for. The third thing is that it keeps 280,000 teachers who are going to be laid off next year in their jobs. The fourth thing is that it builds 35,000 new schools in this country over the next 5 years. It also incentivizes small businesses by giving them a tax credit and gives a heroes tax credit for people to hire veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. That's what the American Jobs Bill is. Every dime of it is paid for. So whatever you hear on TV, all the myths, that's what's in this thing. Now, I've taken the liberty of highlighting the sections of the Jobs Bill that have previously been supported by Republican congressmen and senators. I don't know if you guys can see, but about half this thing is blue. So half this thing comes from bills that Republicans have sponsored in the House and Senate over the last 10 years. It's their ideas and Democrat ideas. So obviously you're thinking everyone supports this great idea, let's go forward. Wrong. Republicans hate it. They hate this thing. So you got to ask yourself why. And there's not an economic argument, right? There's not an economic argument, it's a political argument. Mitch McConnell said the day after the midterms that the #1 goal was to defeat the president. This doesn't have anything to do with the economy. It's politics. And it's that kind of cynicism that makes people so fed up with the government. You have an idea that comes from Republicans and Democrats, and Republicans are saying they don't like it. It's just hard to fathom. So the GOP says, hey, we've got our own plan, quote unquote. So what is that plan? The GOP plan, step 1, is cut taxes for the wealthiest Americans. And it's like we've heard this one before, guys. We've tried this one so many times. How many times can we go back to this well? We tried it in the 80s. Deficits skyrocketed. We tried it 2001 with Bush. We tried it 2003 with Bush. The median income in this country plummeted while the wealthiest got richer in this country. That's just the facts. So to go back to it, in my opinion, is not a good idea. The second prong is deregulation. Let's deregulate Wall Street. I don't agree with the circular logic that says we should deregulate the very people that got us into this mess in the first place. If we only let the hedge fund managers engage in collateral debt obligation again, that'll get us out of this. I just don't buy it. It doesn't make any sense to me that deregulation is the answer to get the economic engine moving again. So that's the Republican plan. Moody's, which is an independent economic team, who the administration has their own issues with, did an analysis. They said the president's plan, 2 million jobs, the GOP plan, 0 jobs. Again, independent economic group. So that's the plan. It's political versus a plan, in my opinion. Finally, I just have like 30 seconds left. I just want to say the big difference in this debate is about thinking big. We all agree we have to reduce the deficit and cut, but we also have to invest in this country. China's investing, South Korea's investing, Germany's investing. They're investing in their country's future. They're investing in education and infrastructure and high-speed rail. If we don't do the same thing, we're going to be left behind. We have to do both. And to say we can only do one is not what Republicans used to believe in. It's not what Democrats believe in. Thanks very much.